For centuries, the story of great explorations has been told through the journeys of European navigators. Yet long before these famous expeditions, a massive fleet from China was already crossing the oceans in search of new horizons. At the beginning of the 15th century, during the Ming Dynasty, China was one of the most advanced civilizations in the world. Its leaders wanted to demonstrate the greatness of their empire and establish relationships with distant kingdoms. It was during this period that a man emerged whose name would survive through centuries. Zheng He, an extraordinary navigator entrusted with a remarkable mission by the Chinese emperor. His mission was not simply to conquer new territories. He was sent to create exchanges, expand trade, and build connections between civilizations separated by thousands of miles. Thousands of people traveled aboard his ships: sailors, doctors, craftsmen, soldiers, and translators. Together, they would write a forgotten chapter of world history. But among all the destinations of these extraordinary voyages, one region would leave a lasting impression on them: Africa, a rich and mysterious continent already connected to the great trade routes of the world. At the beginning of the 15th century, Ming Dynasty China was at the height of its power. Its cities were prosperous, its craftsmen mastered advanced techniques, and its empire had an impressive organization. But the emperor understood that a great civilization could not only look inward. China also had to explore the seas, meet other peoples, and build relationships with distant kingdoms. To achieve this ambition, the emperor chose an exceptional man, Zheng He. A navigator, strategist, and diplomat, he had all the qualities needed to lead an extraordinary mission. Under his command, a massive fleet began to be prepared. Thousands of workers built ships capable of crossing oceans and carrying people, goods, and knowledge. These ships, known as treasure ships, represented an extraordinary technological achievement. They were among the largest vessels in the world at that time and symbolized China's maritime power. In 1405, the historic moment finally arrived. Zheng He's fleet left China and sailed into the unknown. No one on board knew that this journey would change the history of relations between continents. After leaving the Chinese coast, Zheng He's fleet began a journey that seemed impossible for its time. Hundreds of ships moved toward the unknown, guided by the stars, ancient maps, and the experience of skilled navigators. For weeks and months, the sailors faced the vastness of the Indian Ocean. They had to survive storms, powerful winds, and the dangers of a sea that was still largely unknown. But this expedition was not only a maritime adventure. On board were also doctors, translators, diplomats, and craftsmen whose mission was to understand the peoples they encountered. As they continued their journey, the Chinese ships reached major ports of the Indian Ocean. They discovered cities where merchants from Africa, Arabia, India, and Asia gathered. Each stop changed their understanding of the world. Chinese travelers discovered different cultures, new languages, and civilizations connected by maritime trade routes. After traveling thousands of kilometers, a new land finally appeared on the horizon. For the Chinese sailors, Africa represented a mysterious world whose riches and civilizations they were about to discover. When Zheng He's ships reached the African coast, Chinese travelers discovered a continent very different from what they expected. Before them were busy ports, prosperous cities, and societies organized for centuries. Along the East African coast, cities such as Kilwa, Malindi, and Mombasa were already major centers of maritime trade. They welcomed merchants from many regions of the world. For the Chinese sailors, this discovery was a revelation. They realized that Africa had powerful kingdoms, ancient cultures, and a long tradition of international exchange. The encounters between Chinese and Africans went beyond trade. The peoples exchanged knowledge, customs, and stories, creating a dialogue between two distant worlds. Chinese travelers also discovered Africa's natural riches: gold, ivory, precious woods, and rare animals unknown in their empire. This encounter deeply changed the Chinese perception of Africa. The continent was no longer a distant, unknown land, but a place of civilizations, trade, and connections with the rest of the world. After the encounter between the two civilizations, a new period began, an era of exchanges. Chinese ships no longer came only to discover new lands. They also carried goods destined for African kingdoms. China brought products that represented its refinement: silk, porcelain, handcrafted objects, and technologies admired throughout the ancient world. In return, African kingdoms offered treasures sought by the Chinese imperial court: gold, ivory, precious woods, and rare animals from distant regions. Among all these exchanges, one event became especially famous: the arrival of an African giraffe at the Chinese imperial court. For 15th century Chinese people, this extraordinary animal seemed almost like a creature from legends. This encounter represented much more than a simple trade exchange. It showed that 6 centuries ago, people separated by thousands of miles could already communicate and build peaceful relationships. For several decades, these exchanges brought China and East Africa closer together. Two distant worlds discovered that they could learn from each other and share their riches. After several extraordinary journeys across the oceans, Zheng He's great maritime adventure gradually came to an end. China changed its priorities, and the expeditions that had connected Asia and Africa slowly disappeared. At the imperial court, some officials began to consider these expeditions too expensive. The empire needed to devote its resources to other challenges, especially protecting its borders. The enormous treasure ships that had crossed the seas were gradually abandoned. The maritime knowledge accumulated during these voyages became less and less used. For a long time, world history mainly remembered the great European explorations. The Chinese voyages of the 15th century remained in the shadows despite their historical importance. Yet the traces of these encounters still exist. Ancient documents, historical objects, and testimonies remind us that a dialogue between China and Africa had already begun centuries ago. The story of Zheng He teaches us an important lesson. Connections between civilizations are not created only through conquest, but also through curiosity, respect, and the desire to understand others. 6 centuries after Zheng He's voyages, relations between China and Africa continue to evolve. The oceans that once separated these two regions have become spaces of connection, exchange, and cooperation. Today, ports, railways, roads, and industrial projects represent a new era of exchange. The ancient maritime routes have evolved into new forms of cooperation between continents. But Zheng He's legacy is not only about economics. It also reminds us of the importance of human exchanges, learning languages, understanding cultures, and building bridges between peoples. The story of Zheng He is therefore not only the story of a great Chinese navigator, it is also the story of an encounter between two major regions of the world that discovered the possibility of dialogue. Rediscovering this history helps us understand that Africa and China share a long history of contact. Before modern exchanges, connections already existed between these two worlds. Zheng He's legacy delivers a universal message. Oceans are not only borders, they can become paths that bring people together and open the way toward a shared future. More than 6 centuries ago, a massive Chinese fleet left the shores of the Ming Empire to explore the oceans. On board, these ships were people carrying an ambition to discover the world and create connections with other civilizations. Their encounter with Africa revealed a continent rich in powerful kingdoms, ancient cultures, and trading traditions already connected to the world. This story reminds us that relationships between peoples are not built only through conflicts. They are also created through travel, trade, curiosity, and the desire to understand one another. Today, the name of Zheng He continues to remind us of a time when two great regions of the world discovered that they could communicate despite the distance separating them. By rediscovering these historical archives, we understand that world history is made of many forgotten stories. Every civilization has chapters that deserve to be told. You have just discovered a forgotten page of history: Zheng He's voyages and the encounter between China and Africa 600 years ago. Subscribe to Chronicles of Archives to explore more hidden stories that shaped our world.